Neeti, first to you, the argument that have been put forward by the opposition parties not for the first time. This is political witch hunt and vendetta, and ED has not followed the due process of law.
So, Anusha, I honestly feel that this narrative suits the Aam Aadmi Party and the opposition per se. And this is why they are making it an Aam Aadmi Party versus a BJP fight. My basic point here is there is a man who paid the bribe. He said, "Maine isko rishwat di." And that person has been acted against. Where does the BJP come in? So the problem is not that they have taken the bribe. The problem is, why are you catching us for that? And that is a question that they need to ask the ED. See, contrary to what the opposition may say, the BJP does not speak for the ED. If they have any problems about the procedural arrest or the procedure of the arrest or any of those matters, they should go to the court about that. Why ask the BJP about it? So it is very convenient for them to make it a BJP versus an Aam Aadmi Party fight. The only question that needs to be answered here is, why was that money? Why did that money change hands, and what remains at the base of it? Why did you withdraw that policy once the CBI started investigating it? And all of those matters, the MOU that has been found, even though it wasn't implemented because the policy was withdrawn, but the intention was still there. Had the policy not been withdrawn, had the CBI not investigated the entire matter, it would have taken place. So those are the questions that you need to answer. There is no point standing on the streets and calling names at the BJP. It is not about us. It is between you and the man who paid the bribe. Right. Fight it with him. If you have to prove you did not take the bribe from that person, BJP has nothing to do with it.
Neeti, you're absolutely right that if enforcement, BJP is not the spokesperson for Enforcement Directorate. You rightly point that out. And yes, these are pertinent questions that need to be answered by the Aam Aadmi Party as to why, say, Mr. Manish Sisodia has not been able to secure a bail so far. But there is some merit to the argument when one argues that whether it's the CBI or the Enforcement Directorate, a particular degree of political sanction is required for these agencies to go ahead and take a call on whether any investigation needs to be conducted or not. That's the procedure that concerned government department officials decide that, look, this is one investigation which the CBI needs to look into. And then only ED comes into play once a predicate offence has been established. And that particular political discretion is being misused. That's the argument of the opposition, Neeti. A quick point from you on that, and then I'll bring in Shub.
So are you saying if there is evidence and if the government knows that a certain corruption has happened, they should not act on it just because it might be called a political vendetta later? Should anybody in the government or the administration allow for all of these corruption activities to go on just for the fear that it might be called political vendetta, whether it is or not? I am taking your word for it.
Sure.
But the point is, if anybody knows that a certain corruption has taken place, it is our duty to elicit that, to bring out that entire corruption matter. That is the job of the institutions.
The one may cry hoarse over the fact that, look, this is political vendetta. Didn't the opposition parties go to the Supreme Court and say, look, CBI and Enforcement Directorate are being misused, do something about it? And then eventually you had to withdraw that petition. The Supreme Court did nothing. If a crime has happened, if there is something that comes to the light of the agency, and just because it doesn't play out well in the political optics, does that mean agency is not going to act? Shub, can you hear me? That's the question for you from the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah, your voice is extremely muzzled, but I could make out some sections of what you were trying to say.
We'll try and
let me just respond by first of all saying that it is very, very clear political vendetta. See, because if you see the chain of events that have happened in this particular case and how Sanjay Singh, there has been an attempt to involve Sanjay Singh from the very beginning. In the first charge sheet, they named him, and then when Sanjay Singh went to the court for a defamation case against the ED, suddenly ED turned back on its track and said that it was a mistake to mention him. And then, it reflects so poorly on the main money laundering investigative agency that how exactly did they manage to do this? And then later on, the sequence of events were so poor. Like if you see, in the One Nation, One Election Committee, Harish Salve, who has been appointed by the Honorable Prime Minister himself, I think it was his third marriage or something, and Lalit Modi was seen socializing openly. So a person who has not been able to be found by ED, CBI and all these big investigative agencies someone like Harish Salvi is able to have
What
him
is your
around so
point,
easily. So
ma'am?
what does that tell us about the ED? Now, the third thing that I want to mention is that it is not just me, it is not just our lawyers, but it is the Supreme Court itself that yesterday and day before yesterday very clearly told ED that you have, although you keep on quoting amounts and numbers and different people, but there is no evidence of exchange of any amounts between these people. There is no trail of money that's been established, and definitely not against Manish Sisodia. And I'm sure the same will be the case for Sanjay Singh also. Now, in this particular case of Sanjay Singh, let me also tell you that it is just a question of the last 3 days in which just because of the one line, and it is very unfortunate that because of the 2019 amendment into the PMLA that had been brought about by BJP itself, and which is also another tool of political vendetta that they are utilizing it as, that is how, just by virtue of that one line, Sanjay Singh was arrested, which mentions some donation and some 32 lakhs. And that's it. And there is no other evidence against him. And the thing being that now this empowered PMLA enables them to arrest him, but this is not going to hold true. The accusations of the various, money and all that they are mentioning, it is not going to hold true in the court. The misfortune is that just like Manish Sisodia, in our country, the trial first goes into the lower courts, then it goes to the High Court, then it goes to the Supreme Court. So, it is a process. And it is going to be a while before, I'm sure Manish Sisodia is going to be out very soon. And we will see, it may in a little while, Sanjay Singh also coming out.
Let's see if
misfortune
that
is
happens
these
or not.
investigate-
See,
One last point.
I believe you and
These
Neeti both have
investigative
spoken.
agencies-
You and Neeti both have spoken. You largely have spoken about the evidence which is there on record. And whatever you said about the Supreme Court, yes, but those are oral observations that have come in. There is no final order that has come from the Supreme Court. We'll wait for that final order to take a call on whether the Supreme Court takes the view what it has hinted in the oral observations, because they're only preliminary in nature, in the sense the court is merely hearing something.